It's hard to keep moving, but like I said, we have a jam-packed schedule today, so we have to keep rolling. So next up, we have Elizabeth Dalton. Are you there, Elizabeth? And Elizabeth's going to be talking to us
No,
about
I'm
accessible
here.
travel. Hi, Elizabeth. How's it going?
Good. Very good. I'm not, my video is not enabled.
Okay. Would you like it
I
to be enabled? Are you okay without the video?
start my, oh no, sure. There.
Oh, perfect.
They just
Perfect.
started me.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And is it a wild time in the morning for you as well?
not so bad. It's about 6:30 in the morning. I'm on the East Coast. Yeah.
Okay, that's still early.
Yeah. Still early. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and
And are you able?
I'm going to
Yep.
run my own slides so
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and share those slides.
Perfect.
And here we go. Okay,
Perfect. Yeah, we can see those.
very good. Okay, I'm just going to kind of minimize my my own picture of myself here.
Okay.
Okay, let me just move this up out of the way. So, good morning or good day, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Dalton. I live in the USA, and I've worked in the field of special education for nearly 50 years now. I'm retired, but I like to take this opportunity to share with you some of my own personal experiences with accessibility and assistive technology. I actually I've worked with assistive technology since the early 1980s when I was a counselor for students with disabilities. And I'd like to talk about how assistive technology can positively impact my own life and the life of others. Hopefully you'll find it interesting. You see a picture of me there. I'm in the Maldives and using a ramp that the hotel had. So I'm going to talk about things from my own experience and also embed it with some of my background in special education. So can I move forward with my slide here? There. So, who am I? I have, we all have many identities. I'm a 70 plus year old woman, a mother, a retired special education professor. I've done a lot of work in writing, and I'm now a journal editor. I work as, I still consult in the field of special needs and have many colleagues and friends, and many of them are around the world. So I am a very frequent traveler, and I have been for many, many years. And in the over the past 15 years, I became an individual who has physical and mobility limitations. But I want to keep on going. So, how does assistive technology impact that? Here, let me just. I seem to. There. Okay. Um, I can't really see this over here. So, there. This is what. There. So what you see here is a framework called the SET framework. That it's one that was developed by Joy Zabala in 1990, and I've been working with assistive technology. I helped to found a center on assistive technology back in the 1990s, and it's a very simple framework. It's based on gathering information and having a thoughtful process about these four areas. Joy, since she was working in education, started with the student, environment, task, and tools. And what we do is in accessibility planning and assistive technology planning, we think and gather information about these four areas. What does the individual need? What's the environment that the person is going to be going into? what are the tasks that the individual is going to need to do, and only then, when we've gathered all of that information, do we determine what the appropriate tools or assistive technologies should be. And this is a framework that's used widely here in the U.S. and I understand is also being used around the world. It's a very simple and very effective framework. So I think about this from my profession, and I think about this in relation to my own life. The other thing I think about is universal design, and universal design is a set of principles that was developed here in the U.S. back in the 1990s to help to design environments, products, and communications in a way that are going to be appropriate for the widest range of individuals possible. And it was really sparked from this universal design, that universal design for learning grew in relation to education. That's an area that I also work in. And you can see the 7 principles of universal design there. And I know that, at least in Ireland, that you're very familiar with this universal design. So I think about this and I look at spaces to think about how universally designed they are. So just talking about the relationship with my life, you can see there I am on the left-hand side in Cape Cod. I didn't always need to use assistive technologies, but over a period of 10 years, I had to have 5 different operations on my hips and my knees. And now I find that assistive technologies are not just something that I talk about, it's something that I personally use. And you can see on the right-hand side, there I am in India at Om Abode, which is a center for individuals with developmental challenges. And it's a wonderful place. I've been there several times. My colleague Radhika Khanna started this center. And you see me there with my rollator. So even though life changes, you want to keep on moving forward and being able to participate actively. So as I said, life changes, but often our goals remain the same. And these are some of my goals. I want to remain active. I want to continue to meaningfully participate in life and in my profession. I want to continue to grow, both professionally and personally. I want to be able to keep on, and I want to be able to keep on traveling and to enjoy the life ahead. And there you see some of the things that I continue to do. I'm very active in the League of Women Voters here in the United States, and I participate in that. I'm very, very active in my church, and I love to travel. This is a picture of me with my friend Pat, and that is at the Coastal Botanical Gardens in Maine. And there they have scooters that you can rent, and that's the appropriate assistive technology for me to use in order to get around to the very large multi-acre gardens that they have. So there are so many ways that assistive technology can help me and help so many people to actively participate in life. So I talked about the set framework, and I thought that I'd apply it to what I think about with regard to my own needs. So as far as the individual side, assessing my personal needs, I need walking supports. Excuse me. I need supports in terms of carrying both light and heavy objects. I need stair assistance, and I really benefit from accessible bathrooms. So these are things that I know that I need. So when I'm looking at planning and what tools I'm going to need, I say, okay, now the environment. Where am I? When I'm traveling, where will I travel? How will I be traveling? What kind of inside environments will I be in? What kind of external environments will I be in? Because they both present different types of challenges and often need different types of tools for me to use. And then another thing I ask myself is who will be there with me? Will I have a friend there with me or will I be alone? And I do travel both ways, both with friends and on my own. So I gather that information. I think about that. I think about the task. Okay, what am I planning to do? Am I going to want to take some tours? Am I going to need to participate? Am I going to be presenting? Sometimes I go to conferences. What am I planning to do? What do the activities involve? And what kind of access challenges would they have for me? And then when I think about all of those things, then as far as the tools, I think about what tools I already have. And when I say tools, I'm talking about assistive technologies here, because assistive technologies is really any device that assists an individual to be able to function better. That's the broadest definition of assistive technology. So what tools do I have? What else might be needed? And what kind of resources are available in the environment that I'm going to, such as being able to rent a scooter. I can't bring that with me when I'm traveling on the plane. I don't own one, but I can rent one when I get to the location. So this is the way that I think about my traveling. And you can see that when you are challenged with some type of a mobility need or other type of need, you do have to be very intentional about your planning. I thought it would be interesting for you to see some of the places that I have been. I've been to a number of places in India, in Africa. I've been to the Maldives, in Australia, many, many places around the world, and I'm not finished yet. My brother is building a house in the Philippines. He's married to a woman who's from the Philippines. I plan to go there. And then I've been to many places in the United States. So I want to keep on traveling, and as my needs progress, I need to be very intentional about the planning that I do in order to do that safely. That's another point for anyone with a disability is not only do I want to go places, but I want to be sure that when I get there, I'm going to be able to be safe and I'm going to be able to function on my own. So, what are some of the things that I use? Here you see on the left is a picture of my it's actually a walking stick, but it's one that's used for hiking, but I use it as a cane. And I can use it as a cane because the top is flat. I've actually had this same walking stick for 7 years. You can see that it's adjustable in the middle. It collapses to be quite small. I can put it in a backpack, which which I use often because when I carry things on my back, then I have my hands available for other things. So sometimes my cane is the right tool, but other times when I'm traveling in environments that might be not as flat, such as grass or stones or things like that, I'm going to need a different tool because a cane is not enough. So I use a set of lightweight walking sticks. And whenever I travel, I bring both of these tools with me, and so that I have them available dependent upon what environment I find myself in. And this is one of my primary tools. It's called a rollator. This particular rollator I bought in Denmark because I couldn't find one at the time. I've had it for 5 years. I couldn't find one at the time that was lightweight and that was designed for travel. This one is really designed for travel. It weighs less than 10 pounds. You can see that it has a web seat on the top, so I'm able to sit on it, and it has a basket in the front, well, a bag where I can carry things, and it has brakes. It's very, very easy to manipulate, and the wheels are larger than some rollators are, so it allows me to go more places. In the middle, you see the side view of this rollator, and it has a clip where I can put my cane. So this is very important because sometimes when I'm out, maybe in a restaurant, I might use the rollator to go there, but in order to move around in the restaurant, I need something that is less bulky because it's crowded. So then I can use my cane inside. And on the right-hand side, you see the rollator as it's closed up. This particular rollator has a clasp on the top, that little red clasps, that allows it to be clipped together. And this is really important for people who use these tools, because to be able to lift it in and out of a car, most rollators, if they don't have some way of remaining closed, they'll open up when you're lifting them up and you could fall down. It just becomes too unmanageable. So I was very intentional about the type of rollator that I bought. Here you can see it's folded up and it fits very easily in the back of a car. This is my little Prius that is a hatchback. That's actually a good kind of car to have when you use a rollator or any kind of a wheelchair, because it's a little bit lower and it's easier to lift in and out. I do have handicap parking, and I take my handicap placard that you can see there with me whenever I go traveling, so that I can access the parking accessibility wherever I am. And you can also see a picture of a black bag there. That's the bag that I use to put my rollator in when I go traveling on the airplane. And I can also put in there my collapsed walking sticks, and I could put my cane, but I usually keep that with me when I'm on the plane. The other thing that I use traveling on planes is I always order a wheelchair, because for someone who has limited mobility, even if I used my rollator, it would be too slow to manage to get through the enormous airports. So I send my rollator through, and I access the services of the wheelchair that airplanes have now. So when I'm going around, I have many different options. I can be walking with my cane. Here you see the cane being an effective tool to help me to go up and down stairs. Also, this stairway was a pretty good one for me because it has a strong railing. I need a railing. I cannot use stairs that don't have railings. They're very dangerous. When I'm walking, if I need to walk longer distances, I use my rollator. But if I need to go very long distances, as you see on the right-hand side at Ulm Abode, it's a multi-acre campus. They have golf carts that can help to take me around, and I just put my rollator in the back, and then when I get where I want to go, I'm able to get out and do what I want to do, and to fully participate in the activities that are there. The other thing that I think about is my own personal care and safety, and this is actually pictures from a hotel room that I was recently in that had very good handicap accessible features. it had a button that flashed when someone wanted entry, so that's for people with hearing impairments. And then you see the accessibility features in the shower there with the bars and a low lip shower, the accessibility feature of a shower chair that can be moved either in the shower or outside of the shower, so that I can be safe coming out, and then accessibility features with the toilet. But I also, as I go around, I need to recognize barriers. This is a pool. I was in the Maldives. I wanted to go in the pool, but I could see that using that ladder, I would never be able to get out. So even though they have a ladder, it's not functional for me. This is in the middle. There's the controls for an elevator that have no tactile markings on them. That's inaccessible. And you can see the type of stairway that has no railings. I would not even venture to use that particular stairway. So I have to recognize the barriers and think about how I can avoid them. And many solutions can be developed. As you see, here at the hotel, there were stairs, but they also put in a ramp. Sometimes golf carts are a barrier because the rise is too much. And I had great difficulty getting in this golf cart when I arrived in the Maldives. And then I said, what I need is a step. So they went around and they knew someone that had these wooden steps, and they put them in the golf cart every time I needed to go somewhere. So you have to speak up and be aware of what your needs are so that people can help to find solutions. And some of the things that I'm going to add to my pool of tools is I need to bring a folding step stool with me. This is a picture of one that would probably not be the best for me, but it's the best picture I could find. But my son just found me a better one, of a step stool that's about 4 inches high, and that's necessary for entry into trains, sometimes buses, as I said, golf carts, and it's very lightweight, so I'll be bringing that with me. And then I want to get a hard shell rollator carrier, because the last time I transported my rollator in a bag, it did get crushed a bit, and I had some damage. Fortunately, I was able to be fixed. But that's something that I want to avoid because it's a critical tool for me to use to be independent. And then at the bottom, when you know, when you come across something that's unexpected, don't hesitate to reach out to people, because oftentimes getting assistance from individuals can also be the tool that you need. So that's what I have for you today. That's how I go through my life, and how I keep active, and how I plan to keep active. And this is a picture of me in Denmark on an island that I went to with my friend with my handy rollator. So I hope you enjoyed this tour of how I apply assistive technology personally to
Yeah.
my life.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. It's wonderful to see kind of your personal experience. You've been such cool places.
Yeah, and I just love traveling.
Mhm.
But when I travel, I really need to be cognizant of the fact that I could encounter something that I had not expected. So to have some plan of action as to how I can support, being able to manage there. And assistive technology, it's been part of my career ever since the 1980s,
Hmm.
and now it's an active part of my life every day.
Cool. Yeah, nice to hear your story. Thank you so much for taking the time out
You're
of your day to
welcome.
be with us.
You're very
Um,
welcome.
Perfect. And now we're just running a couple minutes behind, but that's no problem. We still think it's an important to have a quick break.